Welcome to another fantastic edition of OCG Thursday, everybody. Special thanks to Untitled for helping me construct these wonderful decks from this weekend. I'm actually very shocked by the results that we actually seen come across from events this weekend. Just overall for the whatever was going on with the OCG this week for this tournament. This was 27 people. I believe this was more of a casual design tournament for interesting things, but this was, I believe, the 4th place list, sporting off, well, the power of Madolche. I know a lot of people, this deck is a fan favorite amongst so many players in the game, and it doesn't shock me that we get the chance to see such a wonderful, cool deck like this actually come up in the format. So what do we do with new Madolche? So they actually got the Madolche teacher, Glassoflu. So she's 2 level 4 Madolche monsters. Quick effect, detach one material from this card. And you target one Madolche monster on the field. That face-up monster is unaffected by other monster effects this turn. If a Madolche card is sent to the graveyard while this card is on the field, you shuffle up to 2 cards from the graveyard into the deck, and you can only use each effect of her once per turn. But she's 1800. She grants the ability to make your Madolche cards unaffected by another effect, which is actually really interesting. It's interesting to see that they thought that this was the dynamic that we needed to go for to make Madolche good. And of course, like staple-esque cards like Phantasme, Prankatops definitely bring this deck more together, I guess, for the core strategy of what it wants to do. So let's dig on to this shot. Alright, so we have 2 copies of Ash Blossom, very staple in the OCG. We have 2 copies of Prankatops, 2 copies of Phantasme, triple copies of Angeli. We have 1 copy of Babel. We have 2 copies of Hoot Cake. Actually, interesting to see that they're only playing 2, but, you know, with the way that the new support is lining up, you don't necessarily need maximized numbers for this. We have triple copies of Madolche. We have 2 copies of Messengelado. We have triple copies of Pudding Susior, and then only 1 copy of Pudding Cess, and triple copies of Maxi. As I've said, you know, with the way that the current structuring of the deck goes, the new support, this card really did a lot for the deck in terms of just broken support. And of course, like, you have things like this in here, which I've been on a kick with this card lately. Spells, we have 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Chateau, 1 Ticket. I know a lot of people will be like, oh wow, you're only playing 1 of each. These cards aren't as good as they used to be. They're still very good, but they're searchable now, alright? And with the way that the current format has gone, for things like this, you don't necessarily need to be maxing out copies of them. Playing triple copies of Pot of Extravaganza, yes, I know you're probably thinking like, oh no, like I'm sacrificing my extra deck. To a degree, yes, but it's not like you can't just grab the key pieces you need. You only really need 1 of these to go, and it's not like you're not maxing out copies of cards in the extra deck, as it is. Play 1 copy of Twin Twister, 2 Impermanents, 2 copies of Manhunt. Like I said, this card is nuts. We have 2 Solemn Judgment and 2 Strikes. Wrapping this up. The extra deck down here, we have 1 Lambada, we have 2 copies of Sistheart, 1 copy of Unicorn, 1 Boral Sword Dragon, 1 Baguski, and then triple Glassaflue, triple Tiramisu, and triple Chocolat a la Mode. Side deck, we have 2 copies of Lancia, 1 Phantasme, 1 Gamma Seal, 1 Tiamaton, 1 Hoot Hoot, 1 Twin Twister, 2 Anti-Spell, 1 Imperial Order, triple copies of Red Reboot, and 2 copies of Unending Nightmare. Wrapping up this list. Like I said, Madolche, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh man, like, really, Extravaganza? Yeah, we've seen it, and it's been pretty popular. It's just draw power at its best. Like, Desires almost hurts this deck, strangely enough. Alright, moving on along. We actually have a Subterror deck for everybody today. Now, Subterror in the OCG is a weirder concept, and it's almost more broken because they get things like Maxi to abuse in their deck. And once again, we're back here with Manhunt. Like, being able to negate, take control of something, like, you get a lot more access to things in your extra deck because of this card. Like, shout out to Manhunt, being a good card. Almost sound like a broken record when I say that, but it's definitely the way it is. So let's dig on into Subterror. So we have, once again, 2 Ash Blossom, 2 copies of Effect Failure, 1 copy of Phantasme, triple copies of Maximus Outputus, 1 copy of Umastrix, triple Fiendus, triple Guru, and 1 copy of Nemesis Archer. Monster lineup is very standardized. You don't get a lot of room to change things in this deck, unfortunately. Spells, we have 1 Feather Duster, triple Duality, triple copies of Extravaganza, 1 Terraforming, and triple copies of the Hidden City. Traps, we have triple Impermanence, triple Manhunt, 2 Judgment, 2 Strike, 2 copies of Final Battle, and 1 copy of Emptiness. The extra deck is 1 Security Dragon, 1 copy of Anima, 1 Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, 1 Cerberus, 1 Needle Fiber, 1 Chaos Soldier, 1 Dingrisu, 1 copy of Starving Venom Lethal Dose Dragon. This is actually, it's still 3 Dark Pendulum monsters to make this guy. I don't actually know how often this is going to come up, but fuck it. We have 2 Violet Chimera, 1 Dragostopia, 1 Mud Dragon, 1 Mega Fleet, and 1 Fortress Dragon. Side deck, we have triple Prankatops, 2 Effect Veiler, or 1 Phantasmi, 1 Ghost Ogre, 2 copies of Super Poly, 2 Evenly Matched, 1 Pure Order, 2 copies of There Can Only Be One, and 2 copies of Unending Nightmare. Alright, so Subterror actually abusing something as broken as Manhunt, yeah, it actually makes sense. I definitely think being a control deck, and once we see Manhunt reach the states here, I definitely think that it's going to be a staple in essentially all decks that can actually abuse this. Obviously, Sky Striker can't abuse this to the way that they want to do it. I mean, the monster you take does have the restriction put on it that it can't attack or use its effects. And remember, when I say use its effects, it cannot activate its effects. If you steal an Inspector Border, for example, that continuous effect is still going to be applied because the card just says cannot activate their effects. So I do think that that's very interesting. And I mean, like I said, looking at this deck, like, this is probably the most standardized version of the deck that you're going to get for the current format. I mean, yeah, it's Subterror in the long run. I know a lot of people get bored of this deck, but it's one more piece of the format that we get the chance to see be abused. And that's not a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. You know, diversity can be a good thing. It just honestly depends. Like I said, Manhunt's a very good card. And the last deck list we actually have for you guys today is some love to Cyber Dragon. So you guys all know that we're getting Nesters soon. So this card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. And then you can only use each of the following effects of Nestor once per turn. So you can discard 1 other monster, special summon this card from your hand. Or if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 level 1 monster or 1 machine monster in your graveyard with 2100 attack or defense and special summon it. And you cannot special summon monster for the rest of this turn except for machine type monsters. Well, you know, that doesn't really matter because, you know, 95% of your deck is machine. I mean, when are we going to be special summoning Maxi? Come on, guys. Like, it's not how this works. I mean, even the, oh no, the little bunny Cybers, I forgot about that. But that's fine. He gives an arrow down, which is what we care about. But honestly, looking at Cyber Dragons, not a lot has conceptually changed with the theory of this deck, with what the TCG and what the OCG is doing. Obviously, like, they have Feather Duster, so they can be a lot more abusive in things. And obviously, it's just a very good going second deck in the current format. So, once again, we have 2 copies of Ash Blossom. If you followed anything throughout the course of this video, you will realize that this card is a staple in today's format. Who would have known? We have triple copies of Cyber Dragon, which is the heart and soul of the deck. When you machine dupe this guy, you will get to special summon 2 more copies of Cyber Dragon because his name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field. We have triple copies of Cyber Dragon Core. I hate this card with a passion. It's so good. We have triple copies of Hertz. Same thing. Becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field in the graveyard. Triple copies of Nister. And we only play 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. I do know that this can be a consistency issue if you're abusing 3, but I don't want to hard draw 3 of this card ever in my life. We have 1 copy of Juzukuru, and then we just have triple copies of Maxi. Spells, we have triple Called by the Grave, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, triple copies of Cyber Emergency, 1 Repair Plant, 1 Cyberload Fusion, 1 Feather Duster, triple Machine Dupe, triple Overload Fusion, 2 copies of Power Bond, 1 Super Poly, and we have 1 copy of Cybernetic Overload. And then we have 1 Almirage, 1 Anima, 1 Unicorn, 1 Zeger, 2 copies of Nova, 2 Infinity, 2 copies of Twin, 2 Rampage, 2 Mega Fleet, and 1 Fortress Dragon. Side deck, we have 2 DD Crow, 2 copies of Phantasmi, 1 Starving Venom, 1 Super Poly, 2 Twin Twister, 1 Cyber Flow, triple Impermanence, 2 Unending Nightmare, and 1 Emptiness to wrap up this list. The OCG is going to be approaching their ban list, actually, what is it, April 1st? Be going into a new format, so I'm very curious to see what we're going to get out of that, at least on their side of the game. Overall, though, not too shabby of deck list this week. Remember, of course, Friday and Thursday are special days on this channel. Thursday is OCG Thursday, and Friday is Market Watch, along with Tuesday. But Tuesday's more of the fun days. Guys, please cut down below. Tell me what you guys think. Turn on the bell. Subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed the video. And guys, I am out. Peace. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.